Charlie was very involved in Ireland's infrastructure. There's a few examples of it. One of them is Dingle Harbour and the provision of the marina.
Correct, because I was in Dingle years ago before that happened, and it was a very forlorn sort of a place. There was no store in it, we're talking about. But subsequently, after Charlie's restoration of the harbour and the marina, you couldn't get into Dingle. Dingle suddenly, it put it on the map. If you're going out to Dingle, there's a queue of cars. It takes a while to get into the town, and you'd be looking to get parking. Now, I was in it in the let's see, the late 90s, and round that to the late 90s and that, and it was packed. And I don't think you could get accommodation in the hotel. The hotels was booked out. There was the Skedig or something. There was a couple of hotels, and they were good. I think I had a meal in one of them, but you couldn't get accommodation, so you could kiss that goodbye. And I wanted to stay in Dingle to experience the buzz that was in it.
The canals in Ireland played a very, very important role in industry. You got the Royal Canal, the Grand Canal, they're two famous ones. And then, of course, the trains replaced the canals for transporting goods and services and people. Yeah. But Charlie actually helped rebuild Ballinamore-Ballyconnell Canal.
He did, and by doing that, you were able to go to Lough Erne in the north, because obviously Lough Erne should be really in this neck of the woods, but you were able to go along there, and then go from that canal. You could reach Haughey in near Boyle, County Roscommon. You could down near go to Shannon. You could traverse the whole country. So that put that area in the map. Funny enough, when you're in those towns, and they were very dead. But the canal in the summertime brought them up, and a heap of boats knocking about, and visitors coming to it, because it's one of the attractions for tourists. I wish to goodness I'd hear a bit more about it. I'd have to pay a visit there, because I was in those towns and down at the canal, and that, and it was packed with boats. So Charlie did that, and not alone did he do that, but he also, along with Dingle, he looked after places in Cape Clear and in Stoke and in Spafford. Like, he was developing places that had been neglected. Put them on the map.
And again, it's like if you see their provision of new piers at Cape Clear, I mean, these things create jobs.
The fishermen. Of course it does, but not alone that, I put a bit of infrastructure in that they needed, and the job was done well and within budget. I don't remember it costing a fortune or anything like that. He did all these items, gave local employment, by the way, helped the fishing industry, because I can recall down around Cork and these places where there was fish processing factories, so there was employment. Same in Donegal. He did a lot up there too, which we don't hear about, but he certainly did down in Cork and Kerry, which could have done with which needed development. Not just Killarney with the visitors that go there all the time, and Cork going to the Blarney Stone, kissing the Blarney Stone. We used to hear a lot about that. Americans used to come in their droves to kiss that Blarney Stone and get the gift of the gab.
One of the most controversial airports in Ireland is Knock Airport.
Correct.
And Charlie supported that, and he supported the funding of it, and
he supported that when the media was running it down. Fine Gael wouldn't give them a penny when they got into power, called it something about it, boggy, this, that or the other, insulted it. They did the same thing, by the way, about Shannon, when it was Fianna Fáil built Shannon up. But as regards Knock, Monsignor Horn was the great parish priest in Knock, and he knew the potential of Knock, but it needed an airport. He wasn't getting the visitors from Dublin or Shannon. He was getting some, but to have an airport in Knock, it put it on the, it was very successful and is very successful. But listening to the experts that was against it, Charlie was nearly had to push it. If Charlie didn't have the vision that he had, nothing would have been done if he was listening to the civil servants.
Yeah. As far as I know, Knock Airport at its peak, and it probably still is doing these kind of figures, 1 million people were coming into the airport every year.
Fantastic. As a matter of fact, even last year, and I think probably we don't hear about it because this media that we have, the RTE crowd, if they don't tell you, you don't think it happens. But I know Cardinal Timothy Dolan in New York bought a couple of plane loads of pilgrims from the US to Knock, and it's probably going on the whole time, but we don't hear anything about it. Now you might, if you're down the west and getting the Connacht Tribune or the Mayo News or some of these papers, you probably would hear about it, but it's not reported in the national media, which it should be.